Okay, guys, we are back with another little bit of Along the Edge. What should I do next? Let's find out. I don't even know. We'll look at the albums. I think I already questioned Mr. Bortine. Let's go look at some albums. I found these pictures where Mrs. Bortine told me they would be to discover that my great grandfather I love had an early passion for the darkroom and that his photographs from the last century had survived time. Do, lots of piano up in my ears. Gotta love it. Okay, sorry. The family was larger than piano, with a swarm of children in the gardens and large tables in the hallways at the hallway holiday gatherings. Okay, here we go again with the bad reading skills. All right, can't read. Right on, let's do this. If I can if I could read worry on adults' faces, if the future ruin and dereliction of House de la Tour could actually crack the walls and yellow papers, could actually crack the walls and yellow the wallpapers. What? Maybe I should start over with that whole dang sentence. Okay, let's see. If I could read worry on the adults' faces, if the future ruin and dereliction of House de la Tour could already crack the walls and yellow the wallpapers, it wasn't showing on these old what daguerreotype. Wow, the old daguerreotype pictures. Okay, cool. I found a couple of pictures of my mother as a child first, then as a young girl. I must admit I was moved by this discovery since I had never seen what she used to look like when she was younger. Apparently, she was decent looking. Okay. This picture shows her belly getting rounder and rounder. What picture would that be? The one with her face in it? And then nothing. No more pictures. As if nothing worth documented had happened during the last 30 years. Talking with Mrs. Bortine aroused my curiosity. The tower, the village, the Maltese, and I thought my relocation would mean living a life of austerity and isolation. What's going on in the village is, I must admit, much more intriguing than I anticipated. Unfortunately, the chores of everyday life catch up with me before I have the leisure to think about it. I have no choice but to dedicate the last days of August to the preparation of my classes at the middle school, and I didn't realize how time consuming it was. So I spend most of my time confined to the house, boning up on the textbooks of each class I've been given. Then, the first day of school arrives, and after a couple of weeks, I finally found my bearings, and days began to pass me by like trains. I think that means quickly. Chapter 2. September. Oh, it's not that kind of thing. Wrong movie voice. I guess I gotta read it all in the movie voice. That would be funny. Maybe a female movie? I can't do a female movie voice. I've decided to take advantage of the weekend to go back to the market. I'm pretty sure someone will finally agree to tell me more than the tidbits I've gotten until now. Especially about this Maltese family, which seems to mesmerize half the village, while the other half looks terrified by the mere mention of its name. I just start with the bakery. Mrs. Bouchard should be about to finish her season. She doesn't risk much in sharing some gossip since she'll soon be leaving. Sharing some gossip since she'll soon be leaving until next summer. I make out Gerard Bartain on the other side of the square. He's talking to someone, a tall man with certain composure. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm going to turn this piano down a bit. It's a little all up in my ears. Okay, I don't know how it is for you, but it's really loud in my ears. Okay, I could walk to him, so he introduces me. But the bakery is about too close, and I might not get another chance to question Miss Bouchard. What should I do? What to do? Go to the bakery? Talk to Mr. Bortine. I think we could talk to Mr. Bortine any old dang time. Let's go to the bakery. Hello, Mrs. Bouchard. Ah, hello, miss. You're in luck. I was about to close. You're finishing your season? Yes, I am. We've stayed a bit longer than we anticipated, but that's it. We're leaving. 2 weeks off, and we're moving to the Alps. My husband and I. We're doing the ski season there. Ski season. Oh, it's going to be quite a change. I can't say I'll miss the place. It paid quite well, but I don't like the atmosphere around here. So it'll be one baguette as usual? Sure, but I wanted to ask. Yes? What do you know about the Maltese? Told you. I don't like to talk about them. I don't want any trouble. What are you afraid of? Girl, what you afraid of? What's the worst that could happen? What are you afraid of, precisely? You seem like a fine woman. So listen to me carefully. Uh-oh, this is about to be bad. She takes me by the arm, puts her face close to mine, and whispers, Shut the flip up. No, the Maltese, they're sorcerers. That's how they hold everyone in their grip. If you do something they don't like, bad things happen. Sounds more like friggin' mafia. How do you think I got this job? Bakers don't take a 3 month. The bakers don't take 3 months holiday. Mr. Blanchard, the owner of the shop, spent 3 months in the hospital. The poor soul. He fell away. He fell all the way down his staircase. The other shopkeepers. Wow, I can't talk. I apologize for my crappy reading. You can always mute me. It's all good. I mean, I'm marginally funny, but you can always mute me. The other shopkeepers, they told me they had had words with the mayor. Had? Ugh, unnecessary. Okay. So, with the mayor? Well, sure. Yves Maltaire, he's the mayor of the village. Didn't you know? That figures. No, I didn't. Apparently, they had a talk one evening. Some petty quarrel about the land register, a fence that wasn't the right place or something, and then bim! Bim? I swear this was written in another language before and translated. The next day he falls down the stairs. Just like that. Do you really believe in all this? Well, I usually only trust what I see, but I must admit it's troubling. Joke about it. Take it seriously. I'm going to take it seriously because this place is nutbag. Thank you for agreeing to talk with me. I'll be discreet. Don't worry. Well, you know as much as I do now. Be careful around them. I wouldn't like it if something happened to you by my fault. Don't worry. Girl, I got it. Goodbye, Mrs. Bouchard. I look around the square for Mr. Bortine and this mystery man, but they seem to have left in the meantime. Of course they did. Too bad. Wah, wah. Then I shop around asking about the Maltaire while refilling my fridge at the same time. Unfortunately, now that I've been identified as the young heiress, the villagers have become mute, strangely polite, and distant. As I bring my groceries back to the car, rain begins to fall. And it doesn't stop for the whole weekend and the start of the next week. I'm at school teaching geometry to one of my classes when nature finally cares to give us the sun back. But my respite is short lived when I discover a bit later a convocation? A convocation of the director's office in my teacher's room locker. What is a convocation? I know some words too, and I'm not recognizing that word. Even if on the other side of the fence, I no longer risk detention. I must admit I'm a bit worried, which adds a threatening feeling to this otherwise radiant September day. When I venture inside the director's office, I discover that Mr. Chastnut, the director, is having a heated debate with someone who must be rather annoyed. Rather annoyed mother of one of my pupils. Oh, that sucks. The poor man is livid, using his desk as a shield, and he's hunched up. He's so hunched up in his big leather chair that he seems to be about to melt into the upholstery. Looks like he's holding the rocks. The rock. He's like, rock. His hand. Lady, you're not rocking enough. And I'm so freaked out about it. Please, Mrs. Oh, God. Levesque? Please, Mrs. Levesque, you must admit that your demands are most unusual, to say the least. Don't forget that Miss Delatour is only here for 6 months. Everything will go back to normal once Mrs. Dupuy comes back. Ah, here she comes. Monsieur Chassenay stares at me with an imploring gaze, as if it was his only hope. Did you ask for me? Yes, please, take a seat. Let me introduce you to Miss Levique, Mrs. L. Mother of Jean-Baptiste. You know, your 6th grade student. Speak to the director, speak to Mrs. Levique. I'll speak to the director first. What's going on, Mr. Chassenay? Oh, these French names, man, they're going to kill me. Well, I'd rather let Mrs. Levique explain herself with her own words. Yay, I should have talked to her anyways, I guess. Listen, Mr. Chassenay, I'd rather not talk to this. Anyway, we can come to an understanding, you and I hope you keep your word. Jean-Baptiste's mother tries to stare me down. Yeah, look at, ew. From the corner of my ear, I hear the director mutter in his beard. But I didn't agree to anything. I don't know how to deal with this situation. After a couple of very long seconds, I give up and say, all right, stop beating around the bush. What's the issue? How to tell you this? Madame Levique would like to remove her son from your class. Did I do something wrong? I have nothing to be ashamed of. I don't understand. Everyone seems happy with the way I work. Why would you want to remove your son from my class? This has nothing to do with your teaching. Mrs. Levique, be reasonable. You can't ask us to change the classes like that for no good reason. For no good reason? Ha! That's it. You two are falling under the Delatour spell. This family of pagan miscreants. You've just arrived here. Like that, you should get away with anything? But I see clearly through your game. I won't be fooled like the others. Okay. Do you want me to tell you what you are? A witch. Whoa. Wish you no harm. It may be unwise to make me angry then. Whoa. Let's hold off on that just a second. I have nothing to do with these witchcraft stories. I don't like what you're insinuating, and I refuse my name to be associated with these archaic beliefs. Yeah, lady. I'm a scientist, and I assure you that I don't give any credit to this nonsense. And you, Mr. Chassenay, I hope you won't let yourself be influenced by all this I would gladly keep on talking, but Mr. Chassenay cuts off and cuts in to stop the discussion. See, I was sure that we would come to a consensus in the end. God, what is wrong with me today? I cannot read today. I'm really sorry, everyone. I hope your fears are lifted, Miss Levique. And you, Miss Delatour, I advise you to be very careful about the progress of our dear Jean-Baptiste. Can I count on you? Of course, sir. I assure you. What? Ah! You're in league together. There is no other explanation. You, the Delatour, you won't get away with it. I'm not done with you yet. You hear me? Then, without notice, she gets out and slams the door behind her. There's an awkward silence, quickly broken by Jean Chassenay. The third time she bursts into my office, just for this nonsense. I believe I owe you one, Daphne. You really have a nerve. It's my job. You're welcome, sir. Soothing the irrational fears of students' parents is also part of the job description. I think I'm playing this too nicely. When I finally managed to get out of the college, okay, it's almost dark and rain is pouring down again, as if today's events hadn't annoyed me enough. Seriously, how could this narrow-minded farmer's wife come to insult me for no good reason? To accuse me of being a witch? Me? I have a PhD in mathematics, god dang it. I won't lower myself to the level of these ignorant countrymen. I'll show them what I think of their superstition. All these Levique, these Maltaire, and these whatever. I can't let them say all these things about me. I can't believe I managed to get mixed up in this. I've lit up a cigarette and I'm brooding, sitting by the window. When suddenly I see headlights of a car on the road in the bend. I'm surprised to see it turn at the gates and go up the path to the house. Who could come see me this late? I think I recognize this dirty gray van with this ladder on its roof and its patched up back view mirror. How is it possible? Why would it have come here? I run down the stairs. I open the front door. Frank? My ex-lover is there, on the other side of the threshold, drenched by the relentless rain. My heart goes down in my socks at the idea of seeing him, talking to him once again, just when I had resigned myself to the fact that he was but a remnant of the past. Happy at first, then not so much. How did he know? How did he find me? I haven't even told him I was leaving. Daphne? How long do you plan on letting me wait outside in the rain? We have to talk. But what are you doing here? Frank is in the hall, and he's a little bit annoyed. I'm fine, thanks for asking. I know we broke up, but I don't know. Did it even cross your mind to call me to let me know where you were locating to the other side of the country? I mean, you mean what? Tell me. I didn't have it in me. It's none of your business. Yeah. It's none of your business anymore. You said yourself. We broke up. All right. Then why do I still get your mail? Care to explain? My mail? Yes, a letter from your mother. I know you've drifted apart, so I thought it might be important. And then I had to track you down. It wasn't child's play. It would have been easier if you had left me your new address. Since I'm between jobs, I told myself I could take a couple of days off. Frank smiled, looking amused. Then pretending to check out the room, he adds, Funny, I've always dreamed to spend a weekend in a bed and breakfast. Or should I say, castle and breakfast? So, do you like it? It's a lot bigger than our old flat on Main Street. Do you manage to find your way to the bathroom each time? Believe it or not, I've always known you were cut for being a baroness or something, don't you think? Lady Daphne. Stop kidding. What? Don't you like baroness? What about countess? Or duchess? Duchess sounds perfect, don't you think? Frank is walking around the hall, checking out the furniture and the trinkets. If he's good at anything, it's probably at disarming any tense situation. Do you mind if we talk tomorrow? I have to admit, I'm exhausted. As he says that, he takes a letter from his chest pocket and puts it on top of the chest in the hall. Your mother's letter. I'm sure it's not easy for you, but if you need to talk about it, I'm here for you. Thank you. So he broke up with her, and now he's back trying to sneak his way in. Okay. Well, I'll crash on your sofa for a couple hours if you don't mind. I'd be like, hell no, get on out, boy. No, I'm kidding. There's like 4,000 rooms up there. I can't let you sleep on the sofa. I'll set you up in a guest room. Even better, show me the way. You little turd. I wake up early the next day. Frank must still be asleep downstairs, and as I know him, he won't wake until a couple of hours. I don't feel like getting up yet, so I decided to snug up under the covers a bit longer. When I think about what happened yesterday and the strangeness of the situation, Frank is currently sleeping in the next room, the room next to mine. I can't believe he went all this way just to bring me this letter from Mom. Does he regret we broke up? Is this letter nothing but an excuse to see me again? Yeah, I'm pretty sure, as I drink a cup of coffee here. Yes, that is exactly what that is, girl. I was ready never to see him again. Not after all we went through. We met 10 years ago. It was so unexpected. We were on completely different trajectories. He was a carpenter and I was a freshman at the university. Science major. I had just arrived in town. There was a party at an acquaintance. I still don't know why I was invited. I don't know why I went either. I guess when you're 20 years old, you jump on any occasion to go out, and I suppose the idea of getting out of my student room was enough to convince me to put on a nice dress and jump on a bus. Frank shouldn't have been there either. He was working on a particularly demanding project, but our hostess had insisted until he'd given up and agreed to come. I guess even science can't explain everything. We clicked together right away. What came next is very trite. A couple of years later, we moved in together. It was stupid to pay for 2 flats when we were living with each other all the time. 2 years ago, we took a step further. Frank's small carpentry business was doing well. My PhD was on track. The question came out on its own. Frank asked me if I wanted to have a child. He was sure of it. He was so sure of everything. Of the strength of our relationship, that he didn't want to wait any longer, that it was the right time. I had cold feet at first, objecting that I wanted to finish my PhD first, that we would have to think about it, but he managed to convince me. It wasn't that hard. I loved him more than anything, and I knew that. Sooner or later, I would want to start a family with him. Why wait? We were happy. And then, late in the pregnancy, a couple of weeks before the term, I lost the child. They made me keep this inert thing in my belly until the doctor decided to induce labor. They didn't understand what went wrong. Frank stayed with me at each step. He was holding my hand as I was expelling death from my bowels. Oh, it's terrible. The doctor refused to let me see the baby, objecting that it was too much for me to handle, but I saw the look in Frank's eyes when they pulled this motionless and silent corpse out of me. Oh, look at his face, jeez. I hung up to him as much as I could, but I could feel this hollowness in my chest all the time. I didn't want to admit it, but I knew something was irredeemably broken. Frank decided to incinerate the body and to scatter the ashes. Burying the body meant naming it, making it, and a way exist. It was much more than we could bear. I was unable to have an opinion about anything anyway. When the first shockwave and the tsunami it created in our lives finally receded, I realized my couple was doomed. Wow, that's kind of messed up. I feel terrible for these guys. I blame Frank, myself, the universe. Seeing Frank every day reminded me of everything I went through, and our everyday's life had become a hopeless ordeal. One day, I'd finally had enough. So I ended things between us and left. Oh, that's right, she ended everything. Frank kept our old apartment, and I took a furnished flat in the meantime. Then, a couple of months later, the notary told me my grandmother had just passed away, and she had bequeathed everything to me. I take a quick shower, then I go downstairs. Noises from the espresso maker tell me that Frank has found the kitchen. Mom's letter is still propped on the chest in the hall. I have to resolve myself to open it sooner or later. What should I start with? Well, Girl, you have a few things to do. I think you should read the letter, because I'm a go-getter like that. Although I'd probably put that sucker off for days. The envelope is dog-eared and a bit yellowed, as if it had traveled a lot. There is a foreign stamp. The ideograms tell me that it was probably posted somewhere in Asia. I open it with a shaking hand. It's the first news I've got from her since several years ago. Something like, 5 years, 6 years ago? I can't remember the last time we talked. Frank has never met her. She's always been an abusive mother, extremely invasive, but equally severe and freezing cold. Sounds like my mom. When I turned 18, I got a scholarship, which enabled me to earn some financial independence, which quickly turned into total independence. I could no longer put up with her invasion of my privacy. Little by little, we lost touch. One year, I excused myself from coming to the holidays. The next, I just sent her a greeting card. Sounds familiar? I started to filter her calls, and one day the phone stopped ringing. That's how the link was broken, and years have passed without me really noticing she wasn't there. When I tried to contact her, she had disappeared without a trace. I must admit, I hardly tried to find her. And now, from nowhere, I don't know. Must be something awesome, numware. It's like software, but you're like, numb. Okay, she comes back into my life with this letter. Her nervous, jerky handwriting hasn't changed. The content of the letter, though, is as cryptic as it is brief. Daphne, please don't accept your grandmother's heritage. Don't go back there. You'll only get into trouble. Regards. Sophie Delatour. Huh. The closing says a lot about her qualities of heart. I wasn't waiting for a your mommy who loves you, but, well, Mom never talked about the time she had spent here with my grandmother at the castle. It quickly seemed to me that something might have happened. But what? I let my thoughts wander about this as I enter the kitchen. Frank is holding a mug of coffee, and he's distractedly looking through the French window. So, you managed to tame the coffee maker. You know me. Without a daily dose of caffeine, I'm a bit of a zombie. Did you sleep well? I thought about things. I must admit, I didn't sleep much with you being here. I know, it brings out some old stuff, and you must have guessed, I haven't traveled 300 miles just to play the mailman. I had a feeling your coming wasn't totally innocent. I guess you know perfectly well why I'm here. No need to beat around the bush then. Tell me, Daphne, what do you think? Should we try to start anew together? It doesn't sound like much changed with her butt over here. I don't know. That's what I don't know. I don't know. I need time. I need to think about this. I understand. For me, it's very clear. Of course it is. Dudes are always very clear. To my surprise, his face relaxes without notice. He looks at me playfully and changes the subject. So, seriously, what have you been doing here all this time? I tell him about my new job as a teacher. He's more interested in the village, and he insists on knowing every detail of this unbelievable story with the Malters and this tower with no way in. I also tell him about Mom's letter. He doesn't know what to think about it either. So, your stories are very exciting, but also a bit worrying, I must say. This is what I propose. Whatever happens, I'll be around for a while. I don't have any contract in the foreseeable future, and I can afford to take a couple of weeks off. After that, I'll see. If I manage to find some jobs around here, I'll stay a few months. It's not as if anyone was waiting for me to come back, and it would give us some time to think about things. Do you mind if I stay in the castle for a couple weeks until I find a room somewhere else? Okay, a couple of days. Because he was the dude that everything went wrong with. Did you think I would throw you out? Of course you can stay for a couple of days. You need the time you need to get your bearings. Thanks. That's nice not to turn me into a homeless person. Don't thank me. It's the least I can do. So, how do we make this work? I don't want to be in your hair. No reason to feel crowded. The house is big enough for the two of us. I was just thinking. I'll tell the wardens you're here before leaving. I don't want Mr. Bortine to shoot you like a rabbit if he sees you hanging around the house. That's very reassuring. Don't be silly. They're very nice. You'll see. I've really got to get going. Enjoy your day. You too. I try to put my thoughts in order as I drive to school. That's quite a lot to digest. The day flies by, fast as an arrow. I must admit, I'm not thinking straight with all that happened since yesterday. When I get to the castle, the lights are already on. Even if it's temporary, I'm glad not to be alone for a while. It's a nice change from the solitude I've experienced these last weeks. Frank has lit up the fireplace and delicious smells are coming out of the kitchen. It seems almost too perfect, and I have a hard time refraining myself from abusing Frank, who seems determined to see to my every need. Still, he manages to remain quite discreet. We take our meals together, but we otherwise tend to our things in different parts of the house. As I promised, about 10 days later, he tells me he's rented a small furnished, as promised. He promised, not her. I promise you're getting out in 10 days, you freaking dude. Okay. About 10 days later, he tells me he's rented a small furnished flat in the village, and he's moving in the next day. I was a bit relieved to see him go. I had this feeling that if he stayed a bit longer, the situation would have become awkward. Days, then weeks go by, and I get back into my routine between the school, the village, and the house. I'm taking a walk in the forest. The leaves are already turning, and the trees have dressed up with the flaming colors of fall. That looks awesome. This is kind of a really cool looking painting. And it's got creepy music going on. It's getting late, but I'm too busy strolling on the path. I realize it's almost dark. I can see the castle at the end of the trail, but as I get closer, it seems to move away from me. I feel like there's a presence behind my back. Although I tell myself I don't believe in this stuff. I'm slowly giving in to panic. I start running. I think she's dreaming. The house has disappeared completely, and I find myself in a kind of meadow. There's something there at the center of it that's gently reflecting in the moonlight. As I get closer, I discover it's an oval pool filled with a silvery liquid. Somebody poured mercury on the ground? That's bad for the ground, girls. I look at my reflection, and it's both me. Whoa, and not me at the same time. This feeling of alterity gets stronger and stronger as I get closer. I can make out my facial features, but something has changed. Whoa, do that again? Do it again. Okay, I can do it again? Dang it. The music's backwards. I'm wearing a short skirt with black thighs and some kind of fashionable short jacket. I'm wearing makeup, much more than usual. The most shocking is my hair. It's terribly short. A kind of bob haircut, platinum blonde. I look angry. I reach toward the reflecting surface, my index stretched out, and the mirror? And the mirror starts to stir, as if it was resonating. When my finger gets in contact with the cold and strangely moist surface, it breaks into 1,000 pieces. Whoa, not cool. For a while, darkness is complete. I'm drinking coffee, guys, sorry. I'm in a kind of garden, surrounded by a heavy fog. I'm moving toward a reddish light source that's calling to me, a lighthouse in a woolly, muffled storm. I can make out a statue of a kind of human-sized sphinx carved in granite. Ooh, don't blink. There's something majestic but profoundly sad in the hunched-up, impassible attitude of the creature. When I'm close enough to distinguish the face, I realize the creature I look exactly alike. I see my face reflected in hers like a mirror. Uh-oh. Huh. Then the eyes begin to animate, and the imploring, helpless look seems to call for mercy. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Totally. I'm frozen in contemplation, my heart overflowing with sadness and awe, when once again I feel this sickening presence like a tepid breath on my nape. Seized by terror, I struggle to turn around, and suddenly I'm falling endless before darkness encompasses me. That's when I burst out of sleep. See, I knew it! Knew she was dreaming! Told ya! Chapter 3. October. I'm bare feet in the grass. In front of me, the black mass of the forest seems to invite me. Somebody's grabbing right here. I feel a hand on my forearm. Mrs. Bortine. Oh, okay. Miss, I heard a noise, so I came looking. Miss Bortine is standing next to me. She looks worried. What am I doing here? What happened? I had a bad dream, miss. Just a bad dream. Come, let's get you back to bed. It's the forest, right? The Sphinx calling me. Mrs. Bortine guides me back to my bedroom. I fall again into a dreamless sleep. When I rise again, the sun is already high. I'm surprised to see Mrs. Bortine is still here, asleep in the chair on the side of the room. She's sleeping so peacefully, I almost feel guilty to wake her up. Mrs. Bortine? Oh, hello, Miss Daphne. I'm sorry, I must have fallen asleep. Fallen asleep? What are you doing here? Oh, don't you remember? You gave us quite a fright yesterday night. Last night, maybe? Okay. My husband heard you go out. He heard some noise and went out to check what it was. When he saw you, he woke me up, so I brought you back to bed. We're used to it anyway. It happened to Madam, your grandmother, from time to time. Once or twice a month, we used to find her wandering in the garden, and we put her back to bed. Must be the moon. The moon? Sure, she used to do this on full moons. You know what they say, right? With the full moon. Must be right. I don't see the connection, but alright. Let's go with that. Yeah, you must be right. Ah, well. The full moon, it always brings something with it. Must beware of the full moon dreams. I had a dream last night. Thank you for taking care of me. Let's say thank you first. Thank you for taking care of me, but you must be eager to go home. Oh, don't worry about me. I was a bit worried about you. I wouldn't have slept much anyway. I was more at ease staying with you. But I must admit, I enjoy a quick nap in my own bed now. And anyway, Gerard must be waiting for me to prepare his snack. Yes, of course, by all means, I'll manage on my own. In this case, have a good day, miss. And if you need anything... Alright. Mrs. Bortine leaves the room and leaves me alone with my questions. I'm telling myself it might be time to call Dr. Durant. Maybe you're kind of losing your crap over here, girl. He told me I could call him if I felt the need, and I'm afraid that time has come. I'm not so sure he can do anything for me, but it's worth a try. I take the phone and dial his number. Hello? Dr. Durant? Daphne de la Tour speaking. Ah, hello, Daphne. Why are you calling? You told me I could call. True, but you left me without news since August, and now you're calling me on a Sunday morning. I guess it must be important. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I can call you back tomorrow if you prefer. No, you were right to call me. That's precisely why you gave you this number. And I'll be more tuned in than tomorrow between two patients. I quickly go through everything that happened since I arrived. I finish with this reoccurring dream and what happened last night. Listen, Daphne, I understand why you've called me, but there's no cause for alarm. There's no proven treatment for somnambulism. Somnambulism? Okay? And everything points to an isolated crisis, certainly due to your new environment. But you do have an explanation for this dream, don't you? Well, for this, we can look into psychoanalysis. Wow. Tell me, how would you interpret it? Must be disturbed by those changes. I felt like a premonitory dream. Let's go with that because I think that's actually what it was. I don't know. This dream, it was really strange. I felt like it was almost premonitory. That's right. Read that word. Yeah. You're entitled to your beliefs, Daphne, but allow me to remind you that you're the master of your own destiny. Oh, you're that guy. Okay. Uh, don't forget it. Even if this dream was indeed premonitory, as you say, don't let yourself be trapped by the idea that you can't change your fate. Yes, you must be right. Most of all, don't push yourself too hard. Take time to think about it. You went through a lot of changes. You have to get your bearings and everything will be all right. You'll see. Thank you, Doctor. You told me your ex-partner paid you a visit. How do you see things on this matter? Not sure. I'm not sure. Sometimes I ask myself if I wasn't too hard on him. On the other end, I don't know what could really make it work between us. I think you're right. First, to question yourself, and second, to take the time you need to think it through. Whatever you decide together, you should make sure you're not making the same mistakes again. You're probably right. So you mentioned a young man called something like Stanislas. Is that right? Not much to say about him. I might have mentioned him. Yes, but I don't know what to think of him. On one hand, he was extremely rude to me, but on the other, I must admit these Maltesers are quite intriguing. It looks like she's falling asleep on the phone. He must be one boring. He said he is kind of boring. I mean, she's this guy. I'm trying to point out that Frank isn't the only alternative. Maybe you're more open to new opportunities than you care to admit. Me and this Stanislas Maltaire seems a bit far-fetched, Doctor. I'm only reacting to what you've told me. But if you allow me, I would advise you not to count on Frank to be the solution to everything. Don't put your eggs in one basket. Don't put them all in one basket, girl. That's right. And if you want a relationship to work, you'll have to make sure you can handle yourself first. One last thing before we go back to our Sunday activities. Yes? How do you feel about your new job? Pays the bills. I think she likes it. Didn't she say she liked it? I'm going to go with she likes it. I know I wasn't sure when I left, but believe it or not, I just love this new job. It was perfectly normal to be anxious in your situation. I was sure you would enjoy it. You're right, teaching is really fulfilling. It's a great satisfaction to enable these young brains to get a grip on complex notions. I'm glad to hear that. Hang on to this positive element. It will help you go through the tests life is throwing at you. All right, Daphne, I'm sorry, but I have to hang up. I'm glad to hear that you're more at ease. And to repeat myself, please, doctor, repeat yourself. There's nothing to worry about. It's more than normal to need time to get your bearings. I trust you, of course, but I'm not completely sure it will work out. Come on, Daphne. You really have no reason to let yourself be overwhelmed by these details. As for you sleepwalking, as for your sleepwalking episode, see, that's just, look at that. Typo. I'm just kidding. Be watchful. Don't be alarmed. You've told me about the wardens living nearby. Perhaps you could ask them to be on their guard in case this happens again. Feel free to call me again if you ever need, and if needed, I'll refer you to a colleague in your area. Okay. Oh, and unless it's a case of an emergency, try to check the day of the week before throwing yourself on the phone next time. Yes, sure, Doctor. I'll try my best to have my next somnambulism crisis on a weeknight. All right. No need to linger on this. Have an excellent day. He's a punk. Thanks, you too. Okay, so before we get back to her slumped on the sofa, I'm going to cut this one here. It's running a little bit long, but I'm really enjoying this story. I don't know about you guys. I'm kind of curious as to what's going to happen. I think I might be playing it a little bit neutral, so if anybody watches this wants to leave me a comment and, I don't know, has maybe played the game or has any ideas of which way to go with this, because I see her as just like, she went through some crap, man. What that kind of thing is terrible. And being a man who is married and has children in his lifetime, let me tell you, it means a lot to when these kinds of things happen. It can be really damaging to a relationship, and so I understand what she's getting at. At the same time, I'm kind of playing her all wussy style. And I think it's time I start picking a direction. Is she gonna go after? I mean, she's really sciencey. So I don't know, is she going to keep a clear head and then be convinced by this whole witchery? Or, I don't know. Either way, so whatever you guys think, let me know. If you like the video, leave a like. Subscribe if you want. All that kind of stuff. Hit the little bell on the thing and on the page and you'll get notifications of my next video. But as for that, that's it. And I'll talk to you next time, guys.